It seems like every day there's some new AI buzzword you got to add to the list, machine learning, neural networks, the metaverse. It's a lot to keep up with.
It really is.
But have you heard of MCP?
I have.
It stands for Model Context Protocol, and it's quietly changing how we can actually use AI in our work and lives.
Yeah, that's right. And it's really about solving a pretty fundamental problem right now. Most AI models, they're kind of trapped in their own little worlds.
Okay.
They're great at processing information they already have, but they can't easily tap into all that data that exists outside their systems.
Right. So that makes sense. But what does it actually look like? I'm a visual learner, so I need a way to picture this.
Well, luckily, this video from Marco Codes does a fantastic job of illustrating MCP with a real-world example. Imagine you're using an AI model like Claude, which is a large language model, similar to ChatGPT, known for its ability to process and generate text. And you want to ask it to give you a summary of the latest activity on a GitHub repository.
Right. So Claude's this brilliant mind, but it's kind of stuck in its own head. It can't just go browsing GitHub on its own.
Exactly. And that's where MCP comes in. The video explains how an MCP server acts as this bridge between Claude and that external data source, in this case, GitHub. It's like Claude has this super helpful assistant fetching information and carrying out tasks on its behalf.
Okay, so walk me through this. How does this assistant actually work?
It's all about communication. The MCP server tells Claude what tools it has available, things like the ability to list commits from GitHub. Then Claude can ask the server to use those tools to retrieve specific information.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this could be useful. So if Claude needs to know what's changed in that repository, it tells the MCP server to go get that information for it.
Precisely. And the key here is that Claude itself never has direct access to the repository. The MCP server acts as a secure intermediary, which is really important for both privacy and security.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So how does the MCP server actually talk to GitHub? Does it need to know how to code?
That's the beauty of MCP. It uses a combination of simple text commands and something called APIs, which are basically pre-built sets of instructions that allow different software systems to talk to each other.
APIs, got it.
Yeah.
And the video actually shows us how this all works, right?
Yes, it provides real code snippets and links to GitHub repositories where you can actually find working examples of MCP servers. So you can really see the nuts and bolts of how this all comes together.
Okay, so we've got this basic understanding of what MCP is and how it works. But I think what really excites me is the potential. This video focuses on GitHub as an example, but it hints at the idea that MCP can connect to all sorts of external systems.
Absolutely. And that opens up this whole world of possibilities for how we can use AI to solve problems and make our lives easier. Think about all the data that exists out there in databases, on websites, even in your personal files. MCP could give AI models the ability to tap into all of that.
Okay, my mind is already racing with possibilities. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's dive into a specific example where MCP could have a huge impact the airline industry.
That's a great one. It's an industry with tons of data and super complex operations. Let's break down potential use cases into tiers based on the level of risk involved. We can start with Tier 4, the lowest risk applications, and work our way up to Tier 1, where things get really interesting.
Let's do it. What kind of low-risk applications could we see in an airline setting?
Well, imagine a customer service agent. They're trying to answer a passenger's question about their upcoming flight. They could use an AI powered by MCP to quickly access all sorts of relevant data, like the passenger's itinerary meal preferences, their loyalty program status, even real-time flight updates.
Okay, so the AI is basically acting as this superpowered assistant for the agent, helping them find the information they need quickly and efficiently. It streamlines the process and probably makes for a much better customer experience, too.
Exactly. And because it's simply retrieving existing information, not making any decisions or taking actions, it falls into that low-risk Tier 4 category.
All right, so what about something a bit more complex? Where could we see MCP being used in Tier 3 applications?
Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's say an airline wants to optimize its baggage handling system. They could use MCP to connect an AI to real-time data from sensors and cameras that are tracking bags throughout the airport.
So the AI could actually see where every bag is at all times, identify potential bottlenecks, and even suggest adjustments to staffing or procedures.
Got it. It could analyze patterns in the data and provide insights that humans might miss. This could significantly reduce delays and improve the overall passenger experience and potentially save the airline a lot of money, too.
Okay, my mind is officially blown, but I'm curious to see where this goes. Let's move up to Tier 2. What kind of higher stakes applications are we talking about there?
This is where we start to see the potential for MCP to help AIs make some proactive decisions. For instance, an airline could use MCP to connect an AI to weather, data flight schedules, and even social media feeds to predict potential disruptions.
Hold on. It can analyze social media. How would that even work?
Yeah. Well, imagine the AI is constantly monitoring Twitter for mentions of a particular flight. If it starts seeing tweets about a mechanical issue or a delay or even just a lot of frustrated passengers, it could alert the airline to a potential problem before it even hits their radar.
That's incredible. So it's not just about reacting to things that have already happened. It's about anticipating problems and potentially solving them before they even arise.
Exactly. And this is where the risk level starts to increase because the AI is now influencing operational decisions. Of course, you'd still want human oversight, but the potential for increased efficiency and safety is huge.
This is all so fascinating, and I'm already starting to see how MCP could revolutionize the way airlines operate. But I'm dying to know, what's at the top of that risk ladder, those Tier 1 applications? What kind of power could MCP unlock there?
Well, that's where things get really futuristic and where we'll pick up in part 2 of this deep dive.
Okay, I'm ready to have my mind blown.
Mhm.
We left off talking about Tier 1 applications of MCP in the airline industry, the highest risk, highest reward stuff. Where do we even begin?
It's definitely the frontier of what's possible with this technology. In Tier 1, we're talking about using MCP to give AIs the ability to make autonomous decisions that could have a really significant impact on safety and operations.
Okay, now you're talking my language.
Yeah.
Give me a concrete example, something that could actually happen in the near future.
All right, picture this. An aircraft is in flight, and there's an unexpected issue with one of the engines. Now imagine an AI system connected to the aircraft's systems through MCP. It's constantly monitoring real-time data engine performance, fuel levels, weather conditions, even the pilot's biometrics.
So the AI is basically like a superpowered co-pilot keeping tabs on everything that's happening.
Exactly. Now, in this scenario, the AI detects a problem with the engine and immediately begins analyzing the situation. It considers all the available data, runs through potential solutions based on predefined protocols, and ultimately makes a recommendation to the pilot.
Wow, so it's not just providing information, it's actually suggesting a course of action.
Yes, and depending on the severity of the situation and the level of autonomy granted to the AI, it could even take corrective actions itself.
Okay, I have to admit, that's both incredibly exciting and a little bit unnerving. I mean, we're talking about an AI potentially making life or death decisions here. How can we be sure it's making the right call?
That's the million-dollar question, and it's why robust safety measures and human oversight are absolutely essential in these Tier 1 applications. The AI would need to be rigorously tested and validated, and its actions would always need to be subject to human review and intervention.
That makes sense. It's not about replacing human pilots. It's about giving them an incredibly powerful tool that can help them make faster, more informed decisions in critical situations.
Precisely. It's all about augmenting human capabilities, not replacing them entirely. And of course, there are many steps between where we are today and an AI co-piloting a plane, but the potential is there, and it's fascinating to think about what the future holds.
It definitely is. And while those Tier 1 applications are still a ways off, it's amazing to see how MCP is already being used in so many different ways. I mean, we've only scratched the surface of what's possible.
You're absolutely right. We've talked about airlines, but the potential applications of MCP extend to virtually every industry and even to our personal lives.
Okay, let's shift gears for a second. I want to go back to something we touched on earlier, the idea that MCP could empower individuals to use AI in ways that were previously only accessible to large organizations.
That's a really important point. Think about researchers, for example. They could use MCP to connect AI models to vast data sets, enabling them to analyze and extract insights that would take humans years to uncover.
So like a historian could ask an AI to analyze thousands of historical documents to identify patterns and connections leading to new discoveries.
Exactly. Or a scientist could use MCP to connect an AI to experimental data, accelerating the pace of research and potentially leading to breakthroughs in their field.
And it's not just about complex research either, right? Even for everyday tasks, MCP could be a game changer. I'm picturing a writer using MCP to connect an AI to their research notes, allowing it to instantly pull up relevant information and even suggest different writing styles.
I love that example. It highlights how MCP can augment human capabilities, making us more efficient and creative in everything we do.
Okay, but I'm also wondering about the potential downsides. The video does touch on the importance of security, but is there a risk that giving AIs access to so much data could lead to unintended consequences.
That's a really important point to consider. It's crucial to remember that AI is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or ill.
So we need to be thinking about things like data privacy and the potential for misuse.
Exactly. As we grant AI more access and autonomy through MCP, we need to be incredibly mindful of the potential risks.
Okay, so big picture here. The video focuses on the practical how-to of MCP. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, what does it mean for the evolution of AI as a whole?
That's a great question. I think MCP represents a fundamental shift in how we think about AI. It's moving away from the idea of AI as a self-contained system and towards a future where AI is seamlessly integrated into our world, interacting with our data and systems in a dynamic and intelligent way.
So it's less about replacing humans and more about augmenting our capabilities and expanding what's possible.
Precisely, MCP is enabling a new era of human-AI collaboration where we can leverage the strengths of both to solve complex problems and create a better future.
I'm curious what stands out to you as the most exciting or potentially transformative aspect of MCP.
For me, it's the potential for democratizing access to AI, as MCP makes it easier to connect AI models to various data sources. It empowers more people to leverage the power of AI even without deep technical expertise.
That's a great point. It opens up a whole world of possibilities for entrepreneurs, small businesses, and even individuals to innovate and create new solutions.
Exactly. The barriers to entry are lowering, and that's incredibly exciting. It fosters a more inclusive and collaborative AI ecosystem.
Okay, last thing before we move on to part three. The video mentions some additional capabilities of MCP beyond just these basic tools, things like sampling routes and template prompts. Any idea what those might be about?
I do. Those are fascinating aspects of MCP that allow for even more sophisticated interaction between AI models and external systems. Sampling routes involve providing the AI with guidance on how to navigate and retrieve data, while template prompts offer more structured ways to frame requests and responses.
This is getting really interesting. It sounds like we're just scratching the surface of what's possible with MCP. I can't wait to explore those advanced features in more detail. But for now, let's take a quick pause. We'll be back in a moment to continue our exploration of Model Context Protocol and its implications for the future. All right, we're back, and I'm still thinking about all those potential uses for MCP. We've talked about the how and the why, but those extra features, Marco Codes mentioned, sampling routes and template prompts, got me wondering about even more advanced applications.
Yeah, they really do open up this whole new level of control and sophistication. It's like moving from basic commands to giving the AI like a much deeper understanding of what we're looking for and how to find it.
So let's start with sampling routes. You mentioned it's like giving the AI a more intelligent map to navigate the data it's accessing. Can you give me a concrete example of how that might work in practice?
Sure. Imagine a historian using an AI powered by MCP to research a historical event. They're working with this massive digital archive, millions of documents, photos, letters. It would be totally overwhelming for a human to sift through all that. But with sampling routes, they could give the AI very specific guidance.
Okay, so instead of just saying find everything about this event, they could say something like focus on primary sources from this specific region and time period, and prioritize documents written by people who are actually present at the event.
Exactly. It's like giving the AI a researcher's intuition, knowing where to look for the most relevant information. This level of targeted search could lead to discoveries that would have been impossible before.
That's incredible. It's like having a research assistant who can instantly process and analyze millions of documents, but one that you can also guide with your own expertise.
Right. And then there are template prompts, which are all about providing this clear structure for communication between humans and AI. Imagine you're asking an AI to summarize a complex policy document. Instead of just saying, summarize this, you can use a template prompt to specify exactly what you need.
So something like extract the key arguments for and against this policy and present them in a table format.
Precisely that level of clarity ensures the AI delivers exactly the information you need in a format that's easy to understand, and use it takes the guesswork out of the equation.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. We've got these amazing tools that can help us find information, analyze it, and present it in meaningful ways, but the video hints at something even more mind-blowing: the potential for AI agents to interact with each other using MCP.
Yeah, this is where we start to glimpse a future where AI isn't just a tool, but like a collaborative partner. Imagine multiple AI agents, each with its own specialized knowledge and access to different data sources, working together seamlessly to solve complex problems.
Whoa, hold on. Paint me a picture here. What would that even look like in the real world?
Let's go back to our airline example. A company wants to design a new aircraft. They could have one AI agent focused on aerodynamics, another on material science, another on passenger comfort, and yet another on cost analysis using MCP. These agents could share data insights and even tasks working together in a way that's far more efficient and innovative than anything possible today.
So instead of having teams of human engineers trying to coordinate all these different aspects, the AIs could essentially manage themselves, communicating and collaborating autonomously.
That's the idea. It's a glimpse into a future where AI isn't just about automating tasks, it's about amplifying human ingenuity by creating systems that can think and solve problems alongside us.
This is all so incredibly exciting, but it also raises some pretty big questions if we're talking about AI agents interacting autonomously. What does that mean for human control and oversight? How do we ensure these systems are aligned with our values and goals?
Those are the crucial questions and ones that we need to address carefully as we develop more sophisticated AI systems. It's a conversation that society as a whole needs to be a part of.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
I think this MCP is more than just a technical protocol. It's a gateway to a future where AI is seamlessly integrated into our world, augmenting our capabilities and expanding what's possible. But as we embrace this future, we must do so thoughtfully and responsibly, ensuring that AI remains a force for good. And that's something we all have a role to play in.
That's a powerful message. And to our listeners, I'll leave you with this. What other exciting possibilities does MCP unlock when AI models can seamlessly interact with the real world? We've only just begun to explore this incredible technology, and the future is ripe with potential. Until next time, keep diving deep.